last month, I went to my local game store and I had two games I was torn between, and I went with option B for Blood and Truth, which of course went on to become the first VR game that I completed, that I roll credits on. You can find out more about that over on RespawnStation.com. So last week I went back and I went with option C for Creed Rise to Glory. That's right, another VR game. I am living life in the Matrix, Nick, at this point. Now, look, I have spent, I've not spent, it sounds like I'm actually spending time, like living in VR. I've put 15 hours into Box VR, which is also a boxing-related VR game that's available on the PlayStation VR. And that is, I would describe that game as sort of like a Beat Saber-esque. So while it is boxing, and, you know, I did use it kind of like a workout because I would do it for like 30 minutes. That's how I got my hours up in that game. I would do like 30-minute workouts where I was just kind of go hard in the game. And it really does, you know, work up a sweat. So, that worked. But that was, you know, like I said, Beat Saber, you get these kind of, these orbs floating at you that, you kind of tell you if you have to jab or hook, whatever, and in what direction and stuff. So it's very by the numbers. And by the way, hello to everybody watching live. Retro Kevin loading. Hello. Now, Creed is a whole new animal, a whole different beast, because it is it is actually boxing. I feel like I can go box now. No, it is boxing though. Like, so you are actually against an AI. I would, you know, like it's as like boxing, like, you know, the Wii boxing back in the day, but with VR and not even modern, because PSVR is pretty old at this point. It is like really really intense. Like, I thought Box VR was a workout. I'm doing this thing and I'm getting my ass handed to me. Like, I'm like knocking people down and being like, okay, just stay down, please, don't move. Now, the general first of all, if you don't know already, Creed Rise to Glory is a VR adaptation from Survios of the I guess Rocky reboot or Rocky sequel spinoff called Creed, starring Michael B. Jordan. And in this game, you essentially are, I don't want to say you're reliving things from the movie. There are certainly elements that you'll recognize from the movie, but it is trying to essentially put you in the shoes of Adonis Creed as he's going through generally the idea of the movie, you know, like the idea of, you know, having to train for a fight, going up through the ranks, you know, as like starting as like a nobody and getting to the big guy at the end that you have to fight, you know, your big opponent. And let's see. So look, the way the game is structured is narratively, and there is a narrative. It's about like an hour to an hour and a half long, and so I have finished that, and so I'll talk about that mainly. I've also jumped into the free play mode. I haven't done any of the PvP, so I haven't found anyone online to catch these goddamn hands, but I'll talk about free play in a second. So career mode, you start off and it is essentially a series of it's very repetitive. So it's you start off in the gym, and there's workouts around the gym that you can do. Like, you know, you can go up to, by the way, I should explain the controls as well. So you can actually see your body when you look down, and because of, you know, the VR, you can see your full like arms and everything too. So it's like, you know, I gotta say, it feels good to have my body kind of be captured in its full glory in VR. It was like I was barely like I was immersed, really. But with that, you know, you have full kind of control, and it looks so derpy. But essentially, the way you walk in this game is you hold down the move button and then you swing your arms. And in my, I don't know why, to me in my head, I'm like, I'm walking. This is me walking. but that's how you get
so
around.
So you're saying it's convincing.
Absolutely, that's what I do every time I walk. I'm just waving my hands very very fast. And you get to the workouts, and the workouts range from, I mean, look, it'll be like beat this boxing. I don't even know the terminology. The bag, beat the bag. That's not what they say in boxing.
Punching bag.
Yes, there you go. The punching bag. What a genius name, by the way. A punching bag, a bag for punching. Someone should. Wow. So the punching bag. You hit the punching bag. You know that's one of the objectives. But then there's ones where, again, don't know, Nick. I don't know if you know the name of this one, but it's essentially like a ball that's floating in the air. It's like tethered down to the ground and the ceiling, and so you can punch it and it kind of rubber bands back at you essentially. And in the game, there's two different kind of workouts for that. Where one is, there's different orbs around the ball that you kind of have to like punch the bag into, so you're kind of practicing the direction. And the other is you just kind of practice repeated punches on the bag, and then eventually like the ball will turn red, and then that's like your cue to dodge it. And so that's how you practice dodging. You can also get in the ring and like practice like on the pads with like with Rocky himself. Which, by the way, I feel fairly certain it could be Michael B. Jordan that does the audio for his character. I'm fairly certain it is not Sylvester Stallone that it does his. Or if it is, I mean, he's trying something different here. But either way, the workouts are nice. But then once you're ready, you go to the trainer. At the first, it's someone else. It's actually the guy from the movie as well. But then in the second half of the game, it's Rocky, just like in the movie. And so you go up to the trainer, and then it's actually really clever, I guess, is how I'd put it. So you start training, and the training is a workout montage. The game cuts you between a workout montage of all the different workouts you've been practicing, and the goal is to try to get through as many exercises as possible. So do them as fast as you can, and the more exercises you do, the higher your stamina will be for the match to come. So like if you only do 6 exercises, you'll get like a 2 out of 5 stamina. Whereas if you do like 14, you'll get 5 out of 5 or 4 out of 5, which is a cool way, because it's like that's the whole thing. Before the fight in the Rocky or Creed movies, there's a fucking montage. So you got to do a montage and then you get into the match. And the match is, it's boxing. I mean, it is with an AI, but like, after when you're actually kind of going in, okay, I have to block, and you can't keep your arms down at all. Like that's a big thing in boxing, obviously, that like you don't really think about even when you're, I guess, watching. Because I watch some boxing. I like to see people fight. Usually I just kind of look out my window for that, or go to a Little Caesars. But occasionally I'll watch boxing, and it's so weird. Like the idea of keeping your arms up. After a while, you're like, your arm's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And you just like want to go down. And you're like, no, I got to stop taking shots to the head. And so it is actually a really good workout. Like I've been doing it for the past week or so every day. I missed a day, I think. But either way, I've been doing it pretty constantly. And I'm leaving with like a sweaty man after this matches. And by the way, also in the kind of once a match is over in the pre-match training area gym, there's actually a podcast that plays that essentially, or like a radio show that plays, which is essentially like a two people like being like, oh, and then this is happening in the world of boxing, and then it kind of hypes you up like, oh, Adonis Creed is coming through the ranks. So that kind of thing is a nice touch, but fights are kick ass overall. I mean, and I'm not going to ruin anything, but like there's even, it's not all just boxing in the ring either. There's one. So in Creed, if you remember, I don't know if you've watched Creed, Nick. I
have not.
Okay. Well, okay, I'm going to fucking ruin the movie for you. There's a romance subplot. All right. And in that, there's drama in that romance, Nick, would you believe? And so one of the points of drama is that, Adonis gets into a fight with with someone while around the female protagonist, And in the game, you wake up after, it's like you cut in after a fight, and it has these dramatic title cards saying like 2 months later or 2 months before the fight, like those kind of things. And it's like, I think if I remember, it's like Rocky going like, dude, you don't look so good, kid. You okay? And then you're like, what happened? And then you get a voicemail from her saying like, don't ever talk to me again. And then you flash back to a street brawl. So it's not all in the boxing match. There's a street brawl as well. And if you go into the free play mode, you can actually like, so you can pick any of the fighters that you've faced in the career mode, and kind of fight them again on any difficulty. I played pro, by the way. I'm not trying to brag. It's just, that's what I do. And you can pick on any map too. So you can go back to the alley. You can fight any of the fighters in an alleyway if you should so please to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Now that all that is to say, I really like this game. I mean, look, it's very content focused, right? So I wouldn't say I don't think the game's selling anywhere for $60, but if it is, I don't know if that's the price that I wouldn't pick it up there. But for me, I picked up for like $20, 15, $20 somewhere in there. And it is a really, like, it's both a good workout, and if you're a fan of Rocky or Creed, you get this, really immersive way to experience what the characters are going through. And it is really faithful. Like I said, there's the montages I've been telling you guys about. Also, when you get knocked down in a fight, I've actually I'm watching the gameplay, and it reminded me of this. When you get knocked down in a fight, you have 3 outs that you can kind of go down and come back up. But the way you get back is you're like, you essentially black out, and there's just like you're far off in the distance, and you have to run back to your character, and so it's like you're rushing back into your body, I guess. But yeah, you're way. This is how I run.
So hard your soul flies out.
And look, it really is like the experience of being there is. I'm never a fool to think, oh, I'm fighting in front of like real crowds here. But Nick, did I raise my hands after every victory? Absolutely.
You got to. You got to. That's the one VR thing if you're playing a boxing match. You got to do that.
You have, yeah. And, like I was saying, with the authenticity of it, there's I believe, I don't even know what Creed movie does it, and I don't know where it comes in, but essentially there's certain fights where if you get hit really hard in this game, the crowd disappears, and it just becomes you and the fighter in the ring. And like it just blacks out, and then like once like the fighting kind of resumes normally, you like the crowd comes back and everything else is. So I thought that was a cool way to kind of like put you in the headspace of the boxer and stuff like that.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of cool like visual stuff they do with it. The one thing that I'm curious about, Sri, is the fights themselves. Like, do you find yourself doing the same strategies on each one, or do they have like any sort of different mechanics that kind of shake up, your opponent that you're fighting, and have you like switch styles while in a fight, I guess?
So, yeah, no, that's actually a really good question, because there's with training, you're kind of getting a different mix of like, some trainings are based on like, the combos, but others are just like speed, like just kind of get as fast as you can. So there is a difference between the fighters. Like they're not only are the fighters like physically different, like there's some fighters that, are like towering above you, and you're like, oh fuck, all right, let's do this. And the way you start a match is, there's a pre-boxing match kind of banter announcements that happens from the the ref and everything, and then the opponent puts their gloves out in front of you, and then when you're ready to start the fight, you touch gloves, and then the fight starts. So it's like a really cool way of like, okay, it's in your hands. It's not a button. It's an intuitive way to be like, all right, I'm ready for the fight. And some of these guys, scrawny little guy, not scrawny, but like short guys that like are kind of more agile. Other guys are huge. They just kind of go for the power hits, and it is a learning curve. Like there's one fighter who's actually, I believe, the final kind of the big bad guy of the first Creed movie, Conlon. think that's his name. Pretty boy, pretty Ricky Connolly, Conlon, I think, Rick Conlon. Anyway, oh, and here's another fun thing that the game does. Just like in the movie, every time a boxer is getting announced, like is your opponent, the whole like everything goes into slow motion, and then like a player card appears that says like their name and their fight record and everything like that, and then it like goes back to normal speed after like a second or two. And I thought, it's small touches like that go a long way. But for the fights, for fighting Rick Pretty Conlon, fuck dude, this guy's name, Nick, this guy took me like 30 minutes himself. I mean, it was like. It was like the second day I had to come back because I was like the first day I just done another fight, did training, and then this was the fight. I kept getting my ass handed to me, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna step away. My workout's done. I'll come back the next day. And he kept kicking my ass. And so yeah, it was like, okay, I have to like really take everything seriously. Put my hands up. And not only put my hands up, but like because sometimes some fighters, if you put your hands up, they'll go for the ab shots, and there's like the stamina will go down, and then you're fucked because when you don't have stamina, you can't punch. The character starts like hyperventilating, and then your fucking your gloves start glowing red. So yeah, it's you kind of have to pace yourself there. But when you're if you're depending on who you're fighting, you can't just keep your arms up. You have to keep them down and kind of guard yourself. You can also like literally juke out of the way or dodge that way as well. And so I think that actually he's the second. It's going to sound weird, but he's the second to last kind of fight in the main career mode. But he was the one that actually made me think, oh, I went from okay, this is a good game to like, oh, I actually like the game. Like I enjoy playing the game because that was like I felt like I was like against an opponent. Like I was when he went down, I was like, yeah, stay down, bitch. And I got cocky. Like at one point, like some fighters will depending on how you take them out, like they'll get up for like one last time. And then they'll like slowly teeter back, and then so I'll be like, I'll pretend to blow on them to like knock them over. I'll do stupid shit like that. And so like any game I think that's like giving me this good of a time, I and kind of also gets me a workout as well. That's that's good in my books. So if you already added Blood and Truth option B to your to your playlist, then I would also consider option C, Creed, Rise to Glory.